Yeah,
It's muted.
now we are recording. So I'm gonna mute myself as well. We'll leave you the word, and if anyone wants to discuss, let's just ask in the chat. Okay? So
Yeah, yeah. So are we live? Are you recording now?
yes.
All right, wonderful. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you everybody who's on this call. We can also communicate while we're on this call in our Telegram team because I have it beside me on a different computer. Anybody that has a pair that they want to look at or go over or a previous trade, please put it in our Telegram team and then I'll pull it up on the chart for us. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. Stay blessed. Thank you again for being here wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is. We really appreciate your time and we respect your time. We don't want to waste it. So we are going to jump into this. We're going to give a lot of great information, some solid fundamentals, so we can have a very successful 2023. So let's get right into it. I'm going to share a trade that I actually put in the team at the end of the year, and it's actually more of a swing trade. But I'll share how I found this trade, how I got into this trade, and how you can use this strategy literally all the time on any pair. All right. So I'm going to break this down literally from the weekly, and you'll see how you can kind of combine different strategies, different methods, and different views on the market to see how this can work out for everybody. So I'm going to start all the way, as you can see here on the chart, on the weekly. Okay. So we're looking at GBP AUD. So as I just look at this right now, I can see many reasons why I would want to short this, and I'll share why I shorted this and called the short. One thing I'll share, and it's not something that I really use too much, but I can just see it with my own naked eye. So I don't use a lot of indicators because I've been in the charts for so many years. I don't really need them. If I throw the indicator on, it's just going to confirm what I see with my eyes. But for this example, we're looking to short this pair, right? As we can see, we had lows that got broken here, and it's continuing lower, right? So we also have the market moves in threes, right? And we don't really trade with trend lines, but you can see that this will follow this and potentially come even lower. Ideally, we would like it to come down here. And as we look back to our left, we can see price may come all the way into this, right? So this would make sense. These previous lows, like this would be a very large short because this is the weekly chart, right? So when we come now to the daily, okay, now what do we see on the daily? Well, it looks like we're forming a type of head and shoulders, right? It's pretty simple. And it could come a lot lower. This would be ideal. This setup looks really clean. We have broken the neckline in here, right? So I'm going to share where the short was originally and how you could possibly continue to short this to a much lower level. So from the daily, we'll come down to the 4 hour. And now, originally, the trade was shared all the way up here, okay? Because we all know our strategy. We're looking for these types of spikes and rejections and rejections and rejections, right? And then pullbacks to short lower. Let me even pull. Yeah, so we'll come to the 1 hour now. Okay. The trade was shared within this area, or again, we can just see a lot of rejection. Price doesn't break. As we come to the lower time frame, same thing. We see price isn't shooting and flying above these highs. It's just wicking and falling down, wicking and falling down, wicking, wicking, wicking. So that's our indication for us to want to go short. Also in this pattern here, we can see we broke this low, right? Price came and broke this low here. So, and every time it pulls back up in this area, we can see rejections with wicks. Look at these wicks, right? All wicks, 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 and then pushes down, pushes down, pushes down. So any of these pullbacks in here, we want to come to a lower time frame to look for a sniper entry. Same thing, all in here. We like this when it shoots up and then pushes back down. Any of these pullbacks in here are your best entries. And then you look to your left for your SL points, right? Any entry in this area would be safe, and you have to look to your left here for an SL point and then keep it above. You have to also know your pair. So we're trading in this example GBP AUD. So it has a higher ADR. The average daily range is larger. So some pairs, sometimes you can get a nice little 10, 15 pip stop loss. Sometimes when you're trading GBP pairs, you have to be more realistic and have a larger stop loss depending on the trade you're looking to get. So let's just say we got in anywhere in this range. You know, you need a good 30, 40, maybe even 50 pip SL, unless you're getting really, really sniper, and that can be difficult depending on your demo, a challenge, a live account, your server. All these things come into play. So it is smart to always have a good size stop loss so your trade has room to breathe. Because we can see, obviously, after price stops coming into these areas, it literally just tanks, right? This was shared back in December for the whole team, the exact entries. I mean, this just falls. This just completely dies. I'm going to jump to the 1 hour just to show. I mean, ultimately, the trade dropped over 900 pips, right? Like that's 1 to 26. We don't learn and trade to hold this long because it is much more advanced. I like to teach a simple strategy where people can just get a 1 to 3, and as we advance with the team, I'd like to be able to share more style large swing trades like this, where you can capture a really large return, especially on a live account. You can scale this, obviously take some good profits off, and then let a lot of this trade ride. Now, I wouldn't recommend anyone really holds after this big push up, but all of this is just good price action falling, 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 falling. So even just in that area, you know, you're catching over 500 pips. You're easily catching over 1 to 3, 1 to 10. So in all of this, you can make a lot of money. Even a trade like this can pass a challenge. A lot of times when I was passing challenges, I can do it within one trade. You have to be very patient to find these setups, but these setups do happen all the time, right? Excuse me. So this is the breakdown that we had for GBP AUD. It's one of my favorite pairs. Been trading it for years, and obviously it moves. You can get a lot of return trading this pair. So again, even looking back into the 4 hour, because we've broken these lows in the neckline of the head and shoulders, if you were looking to continue to short, obviously now we would just wait for a pullback and continue. But the strategy was up here for the proper entry. So we're not going to train on that. This is the type of entry we want. So we had a great example that we'll go over another trade now. And so Dominic shared a trade USD JPY. And he's on a 15. Cool. Let me remove drawings and start fresh. So we're looking to short this. Obviously, like we're in a massive falling short here. On many time frames, you can see how all of the structure was broken, right? So yeah, I'm on the daily. I like to start even on the weekly just to see what's going on, right? We have some bearish candles. We can see the structure got broken. So down to the daily. All this is broken, and now we can easily see a type of channel, right, dropping. Look at that. I don't really teach trading trend lines and things like that, but we can't argue that this isn't happening, right? Like this is definitely following this. And if we wanted to even put it in a type of channel, we can see that. We want it to be more precise. So yeah, we would definitely, and then we look to our left, this all got broken. All these lows you see are getting broken. So there's no reason to not continue shorting. This could be a great short to the next set of lows, which could either be here, right? And then again back here. So these are all realistic points where we could see this falling. As we're on the daily, you want to look to your previous candle. So the previous daily candle is bearish, right? So that's another confirmation to say, okay, maybe we're going to start seeing more shorts. Because to see this come down here, just to measure, you have a lot of pips. That's about almost 400, well, easily 400 pips just to this first level. Then ideally we'll see a pullback and then potentially even lower again, right, to the next level, which could then be, over 800 pips. So again, we're not teaching where we have to catch hundreds and hundreds of pips, but it easily shows us where we can get a good entry. There's so much room for this to fall. For us to catch a 1 to 3 or a 1 to 5, this is very realistic. Right now, this trend is definitely bearish and we're shorting. So we are going to be going with the trend here. So this is a safe short. So let's remove everything because I like it to be as clean as possible. And now that we've looked at the daily, we'll come down to the 4 hour. Look at the 4 hour, right? And we can see these are more bearish candles. Even a small little type of head and shoulders I can already see in here. This will look cleaner on the 1 hour, right? So get rid of that. So now we can start seeing how our strategy is working. So I'll only go into a higher time frame again, just to get a point of direction, to see some good candlestick patterns. And then as we zoom in and come to the smaller time frame, this is where we'll start implementing the strategy. So again, we do have a nice forming type of head and shoulder. And we want this to come lower, right? I'll make this thicker just so we can see, right? So ideally, yes, this trade will at least want to drop down to here, to these lows. This would be ideal. Is that going to happen? No. But we have a lot of confirmations from our higher time frame to show that this could actually happen. So back to our strategy. And then obviously, yeah, Dominic shared in his chart where you can even see like these breaks, right? Like this. So I'll just leave that there for a second so you can take a look. Okay. And then yes, as we go back to our strategy, we're looking at this high, all wicks. These are all wicks, right? And little candles, little dojis. And then as we know our strategy, we have the spike, right? Here was the spike here. Price shoots back down. I would personally like to see price shoot lower than this area, like in here. But because we're extremely bearish, it's okay. And then yeah, in this pullback here, this is where we would look for entries right in here to come short, right?
That's exactly where I was entering. So I had 130.4 was my entry and 130.6 was my stop loss. So we are currently
at you have your stops right above here.
Yes,
fine,
because I just
yourself.
saw on a lower time frame there was a nice bearish structure forming, and I just didn't want the markets to go any higher. So it was very risky setup. That's why I didn't share it in the group. But I feel good with my
Yeah,
execution.
this is a good potential setup. So now, because it's still early, any pullbacks on this trade. So let's come right into the 5 minute, for example, and see what's going on. So on the 5 minute, because New York session hasn't happened yet. So once New York session happens, it's either going to give us a pullback for another entry, or it's just going to continue to push the trade lower. The best entry was up in here. So now, because that's already happened, again, coming here, it was like this. That was a spike, and these are our pullbacks. We are breaking these lows, like these lows have gotten broken. So we don't know how much higher it's going to push up in here. If it did come higher, let me take a look. Personally, I wouldn't want it to come all the way up in here. It definitely could if it wants to, but I'd rather see something just not too crazy, maybe in here, right? So this could be a really tight trade, but yeah, getting in around here for a pullback and maybe keeping your stop loss above this. And again, it could be risky because price may want to shoot back up in this region. So if this didn't pan out, so you want to give yourself maybe a good 20 pips from here. Okay. And then obviously we want a bare minimum of a 1 to 3. And we've already shown that this can go a lot further down. This can easily be, 1 to 12, right? Because of price will always go back to the previous lows or previous highs depending what we're doing, one way or another, right? It can only go up or down, or obviously sideways until it decides which way it wants to truly move. So yeah, maybe something in here I would look for if I was looking to trade this at this point, because we've missed the best entries, which were up in here. But this is a good trade forming, and it's a great example that Dominic shared. We thank you, Dominic, for showing this. Let me pull up my. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is how we break things down all the way from the higher time frame to the lower time frame. You want to look to your left, always back to your left, to see previous highs, previous lows, and setups with our strategy. Right, this was a nice spike, came down and started giving some pullbacks. Andy has shared a trade, EJ, on a short, so I'll take a look. If anyone has questions, please share them in the Telegram team, and I'll do my best to answer all questions, either right now, right away, or once we finish marking up the charts. Let's take a quick look at Euro JPY. And Andy's seeing a short. Okay, yeah, this thing's already tanking, but that looks good. So again, just looking at the pair, I'm going to start right at the daily and see what's going on. When I come to the daily, I like what I see here. We'll start fresh. So you could even go all the way to the weekly just to see. This isn't the exact answer on what we want, but we do see some whips, a lot of whips. So this could definitely fall lower. To me, the daily looks better, so we'll go right to the daily. And what do we see? We had highs here, more like in here. Price went to come above, right? But it didn't really shoot like this, right? Ideally, if this was going to be a long, so if this were going to be a long, ideally you would see it start breaking above, maybe retest in these areas, and then come higher. This didn't happen, right? We're coming up in these areas. It spiked up here, played around, which is fine, and then shot lower. And these lows started getting broken. So it shot lower. This would have been a great retest. This would have been an ideal entry